Everybody, how you doing? It is 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, the only time zone that matters. And you're on with Grumpy Acres. And tonight's topic, we're going to talk about food independence. All right. Got a very special guest tonight. This guy, I met him back on Tag's stream a while ago, and we've been talking back and forth. This guy takes the chase for freedom to levels that most people don't even think about. I want everybody to say hi to All American Prepper. How you doing, brother?
Hey, brother, how you doing, my man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Let's say hi to everybody. Let's say hi to everybody that's in the chat. We got All American Prepper was number one, and then Starlight, how you doing? Hey, Starlight, you need to contact Angela. She's got something to help you with what you're going through right now. I think it will help you. Jane Marie, how you doing? And then the Rickster. I saw Rickster. Rickster was over. He was cheating on us, man. He was over on a Billy Bond string just a while ago. He was cheating on us.
Oh,
Glad you
you dog, you.
Glad you made it, Rickster, man. That's a hard one to walk away from, wasn't it? Yeah, if you guys ever get a chance to, Billy and William from Perm Pasture Farms, they do the Pimpcast, the Permaculture is My Passion podcast, and they talk about some really good stuff. Don't leave this one, but whenever you get a chance, watch the replay. All right. Okay. So as I said, tonight's topic is uh, food independence and what we have to do to get it. But before we get into the topic, All American, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Okay, you're kind of extreme on everything you do as far as your lifestyle, and you like I said, you do things that a lot of people they don't even consider, let alone think they'd end up doing. And I wanted to ask you, what why do you do what you do? Not necessarily what you do, but why do you go to the extremes that you go to go after your freedoms?
Um, that's a deep question. One reason why I like to be food independent because I've been in rough places, and I've seen people very hungry, and I don't want to end up like that, and I don't want my family to end up like that. So that's a big motivating factor. I've seen a lot of hungry people, and if you are willing to put in the time and the effort, and learn your environment, you can become food independent. Now, will you have to do without certain things? Yeah, you will. Like, I don't grow wheat, so I don't eat bread. You know,
Okay.
I mean, I I don't buy butter, and I don't have a milk cow, so I use lard from wild hogs to cook, to fry in.
Okay. Well, and we were talking backstage before the podcast, and you said something that I think hit it uh, that hit it right on the head. Is you were talking about the attitude. It's all about the mindset and the attitude of the way you approach things. And you said something in regards to how you felt about the system. The infrastructure that we're all tied to right now. You want to tell everybody in the chat about that?
Well, I just want to starve it. I don't want to be in the system. It's so corrupt. I mean, the system is so corrupt. I want nothing to do with it. I don't even trust any of this food that I would buy at a grocery store at this point. I just wouldn't even trust it. It's just not safe. I mean, down here in Florida, we have wild edibles all year long. Okay, but if I lived in a cold area, I would still be food independent. I would just eat more meat.
Mm-hmm.
That's you eat more meat when you can't grow, but when you can grow, I mean, down here, I mean, there's food everywhere. They're lucky I don't have authority and power, because if I had authority and power, there would be no food stamps down here in Florida, because everybody would learn, get your ass out there and get it, because it's out there. You just got to get it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So So that was the main thing that made me want to talk to you, is the whole attitude and mindset that you've got and your approach to doing it. Because I mean, there's a lot of people nowadays that are looking, they're looking at the situation, and they are figuring out that things aren't as secure as what they think they are, right? And it's becoming obvious. It's getting to the point where you can't ignore it on so many different levels. And if we don't change our mindset, then when the time comes, a lot of people are going to be hurting, man. A lot of people hurting, right? Okay.
It's going to get bad. It's going to get real bad.
Well, and there's the thing. You really can't tell how bad it's going to get. I mean, it's got the possibility of getting just a little bad, all the way to our food independence is going to be the least of our worries type of bad. You know what I mean? And so we need to prepare for it all. But let's get into the topic at hand: food independence. First off, you kind of touched on it whenever you were starting. Why it's important. And before we go on, guys, listen, I'm running two screens here, and I'm going to try to get questions up onto the screen. You will have to bear with me though, because I'm still learning how to juggle all this stuff. So if I miss you or I don't say hi, do not take it personally. We appreciate everybody being here. I know All American really appreciates his people on his channel, and I appreciate people watching us. Okay, so everybody, if we don't say hi, don't feel bad. Okay. All right. So I was thinking about it before as we were getting ready, and I came up with two reasons. Tell me what you think about this. The two reasons that we need to be food independent is, number one, it's a more healthy alternative to what we have now. And number two, there are a lot of threats out there to the food system, And so what's your thoughts on why we need to be food independent?
Well, just to cut through the meat and potatoes of it, if you don't want to end up in a FEMA camp, you need to learn to be food independent. It's not if something happens, it's when something happens. That's just the way of the world. Every empire peaks and crumbles. And I believe America is on a down cycle, man. It breaks my heart. I'm all American. I'm red, white, and blue. But this crap that's going on in our country cannot be sustainable in the direction we're headed in. All this money we're handing out, there's just no way. Look, Americans, it's up to us. We're going to have to save ourselves. This government is not going to save us. And one way, if you live in a cold environment, to be food independent, and a lot of people don't think about this, have solar and grow indoors. Use your solar power to grow indoors, where you can control the climate, where you can literally grow anything you want to grow.
Okay, there's somebody made a comment here that I want to address. So Mike always is real one. This is what he asked. What the hell does food stamps have to do with it? What about the millions and billions made off of forced labor? Is greed. That's the problem. Well, Mike, your comment is, number one, the food stamp issue. What the food stamps do, the food stamps enable people to not have to go out and do work. And I'm not against charity. So don't think that I'm saying charity is not a good thing. It's not the government's place as far as I'm concerned. And as far as about the forced labor comment, that's just wrong. There's not a single person out there that's at a job that they couldn't quit. So there's nobody out there forcing anybody, unless you're in prison. There's nobody out there forcing anybody to do work. They go to the job, they get compensated. If they don't like the compensation, they can go find a better job, right? So don't the whole forced labor. That's just. Oh, hang on a second. there we go. You know, so well, apparently we've got bots in there. So, so I don't, the whole forced labor thing is a non-fact here. All right. Anyway,
No,
so back to the
you don't
topic.
have to work. You don't have to work if you don't want to work. The thing is, if you don't want to work, then you got to get out there and learn how to forage, fish, and hunt, and not be what he's calling a slave to the system. I mean, but you'll find out. You will work yourself to death to try to keep from working a regular job, because there's a lot of work in homesteading that people don't realize. A lot of work.
Well, and you know what? You know what though? I'll say it. There is a little bit of slavery in it. It's not the type of it's a different type of mindset. We're talking about two mindsets here. So you've got the one side that thinks that people that invest their money and take all the risk financially should not reap the benefits of what they've done, and they should give things to people that took no risk. All they do is show up, and sometimes they don't even do that. And on the other side, you've got somebody like me. I was a wage slave, dude. I worked in corporate America for the longest time, and all I did was chase a paycheck. I was a wage slave, and it wasn't until I changed my mindset and I got out of that circular thinking. I had to get more money. I had to get a better job, so get more money, get a better job, etc. And so, there is a little bit of slavery there, but it's self-imposed slavery. It's not this forced slavery that the socialists talk about. All right. So what you're saying is 100% correct. People, the laziest people in my office always work the hardest to get out of work.
Yeah. I've seen people work themselves to death to keep them having to work. It's insanity. And, when it comes to food, I mean, I get out there and I forage, I fish, I hunt, I get my own food. Okay. And it's everywhere. You just got to know. I've been doing it since I was 14 years old. So, I know how to do it. I was literally raised where my dad gave me and my brother, when we were like 13 years old, a rifle. It's like, here's a rifle. Here's 2 bullets. If you don't shoot something, we're not eating supper. That's the way I was raised, man. So it's just my nature.
So, well, thank you, Homestead Twins. Here's another couple of guys. I'm gonna get the Homestead Twins on here. I meant to get them on after the second to the last Self-Reliance Festival we went to, but kind of slipped through the cracks. I saw them again at the last one we went to, and I want to get them on there. They've got a really good story, man. These guys are out there doing the work. Seriously.
This is what I did. I'll just make it real simple for people.
Okay.
It on a budget, okay? If you're on a budget, I can have you set up in a homestead working at McDonald's down here. You can find land that's buy here, pay here for $300 a month. You can go buy you one of these sheds that's buy here, pay here for $150 a month. That's what I did. I put it on there. I paid the land off, paid the shed off, turned the shed into a bunker, started growing food. I mean, it's really not that hard. I mean, if you're willing to live primitive, like I can see that you have a real nice setup where you live. I just live differently. I just live differently. A lot of people can't live the way I live. They're just like, I'll have people over at my house and somebody say, "Hey, I got to use the bathroom." I'm like, "Well, the bucket's in there." Yeah. And they're like, "What?"
Hey, we got what? Hacks from the homestead. They are living the lifestyle just like what you said, man.
Yeah.
So it can be done. Okay, so we were talking, the health benefits of it. From your experience, you've been doing this a long time. What health benefits are you getting from not having to go to the store all the time? Because like you said, you can't get some of the stuff. Can't get some of the stuff the doctors tell you is good for you unless you're growing it yourself. And down in Florida, you guys, you guys got some rough times down there. You got that sandy soil. Some things just don't grow well down there.
You just got to know how to do it. I have videos. If you get on my videos and scroll down a good ways, where one of my mag team members, he's got bad soil. We can't get nothing to grow in his soil. So we just built a simple hydroponic system. And man, that stuff is growing like crazy. We're using natural sunlight. We're using the rain to water it. And we're just growing it in the fake soil because his soil is just terrible.
Right.
But it's growing great. It's growing great, And again, I look around, and even as bad as his soil is, there's wild edibles growing everywhere.
Yeah. And we're learning that. We're in the process of learning that. Yoda is trying to learn all about that. In fact, I'm getting ready to plant some Jerusalem artichokes. I got some when we were in Kentucky. I'm going to plant them, and hopefully I'm going to let them run rampant over on the side of the property. So we were talking about some of the threats, and I found these threats actually came from the Department of Homeland Security. All right. So if the DHS is telling us this is what we need to look out for, and they're trying to hide stuff, it's probably a good bet that we should probably be looking at this stuff. Okay. So some of the threats that they talked about was adulteration, the GMO foods, and the lab grown meat. And now we've got to deal with the mRNA, the COVID vaccine stuff. It's not a vaccine. The COVID shots, the stuff that's in the meat that's being imported into America now, and it may actually be used in America now. Globalization of trade. I mean, how far does your food travel to get to your table? They're all American.
Sometimes not even 100 feet.
See, then we just did some apples freeze dryer that came from Washington State, and I've seen apples come from China, or not China, Japan, and the Far East, and so the average distance that American food travels is about 1,600 miles, and that's unsustainable. What happens if something happens and global international shipping gets shut down? Is that food going to get to our tables? Probably not. This is one I didn't think about, and tell me what you think about this one, because you live in a pretty diverse area, right? I mean, Florida's got a pretty good mixing pot. Social and cultural changes. So as the culture of the area changes, the eating habits will change due to cultural differences. Do you see that down there where different areas focus more on different foods?
Yes. And here's the thing. When I was a kid, there's these turtles down here. They're called soft shell turtles.
Mm-hmm.
And they are delicious. You cut them up, you fry them. They're so good. Now, when I was a kid, I could sell them all day long for $25 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I can't even give them away.
Really? That kind of surprises me. Well, you know what? Turtle's not very big up here either. And I remember as a kid living down in the Ozarks, turtle soup was a pretty common thing.
It's that way with everything, though. It's like I could go hunt raccoons, go sell them $25 a piece. Nobody's buying raccoons anymore. We used to hunt possums, sell them for $5 a piece. Just all the old timers that used to eat that stuff, they're dying off, and now it's everywhere. It's like I think nobody hunts in Florida anymore, because even though we got all these people down here, there is deer everywhere. When I was growing up, I'd have to look 2 or 3 days before I seen a deer. Now it's like, holy crap, look out, you're going to hit one. I mean, they're everywhere. And in a grid down situation, that's the first thing you do. If you're like, oh shit, we've been hit with an EMP, something terrible has happened. Of course, we're going to run out of deer. So run out and kill you 3 or 4 of them right then, and
Well,
go
you know,
ahead and
and
smoke it
it's
and dry it.
the difference between now and the old timers for us aren't the old timers that our parents knew either. You know, because my grandparents came of age in the Great Depression, and the stories they told and the things that my grandfather used to eat really kind of grossed me out. But as I've grown older and I understand the importance of food independence, I'm like, okay, I understand now. You know, but a lot of those people that grew up in the Great Depression, you know, you're talking about deer. So we lived in Missouri, and 2 years ago, the year we left Missouri, they did a survey and they figured there were 2.5 million deer in the state of Missouri. And during the when was it 1930, 35 or 36, they checked the herd and saw how big the herd was in Missouri. They had 4,000 deer. You know, and I'm like you, man. When I was 19 years old, you know, opening day was a huge event. And as kids, we'd go down to the fire department because that's where you had to go check your deer in. And, you know, it was number one, it was hard getting a ticket to go hunt the deer. And number two, it was hard finding a deer, you know? And so, yeah, I think, yeah, and again, that's that social and cultural change. But since we're talking about deer, Can Squatch has a question for you. Uh, Number one, do you cure your deer in the smokehouse?
Yes, yes, I do.
So how do
And
you
it's
how do
just
you
a
go about
simple.
that?
It's a simple smokehouse. It's just made out of blocks. You know, I just get blocks and stack them up and lay a piece of metal over the top of it. And you got to be careful not to get it too hot in there. You don't want to cook it. You want to smoke it and dry it out, not cook it. It'll go bad if you cook it quick. And salt is the key. But nobody, I see all these preppers would, if you're just living off canned food, you're getting way too much salt.
Mhm.
But when that salt runs out, when that canned food runs out, if you don't have no salt put back, you're going to be in bad shape.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've been going to a chiropractor because I did something in July and I jacked myself up. I got two ribs that keep popping out of place, and I got a vertebrae up here that keeps popping out of place. And I was in there last week, and he was checking me, and he flat out told me, he said you're not getting enough salt. And I'm like, well, I'm not supposed to get salt because my cardiologist said. He said, no, you need some salt. He said he could feel it on my skin, the way my skin felt, that I didn't have enough salt. And Yoda's got me on taking a half a teaspoon, or yeah, half a teaspoon of Redmond salt in water and drinking it every morning. And I can tell you what, man, huge difference just in less than a week, you know, because I was having muscle cramps and everything like that, and they've all gone away, you know. But you can also overdo it because I overdid it yesterday and I felt like crud. Seriously, by about 7 p.m. I felt terrible, and I spent all day drinking a ton of water to try to wash it out of the system. You know, so you got
Yeah,
to have that balance.
a lot of people, they don't realize, you know, that there is things you're going to have to have. You're going to have salt. That's a no, you know, you're going to me, it's a no brainer because that, if I shoot a squirrel and say I shoot 100 squirrel or whatever, I can't eat them all. I need that
Hmm.
salt to slow smoke it because that salt is a natural preservative. And
Right.
it is so hot down here in Florida without salt, you will die because you
Oh
sweat
yeah.
so much. You'll die
Well,
without
and
salt.
the type of salt that you get too is important because, like I said, we use the Redmond salt, and it's not processed. They don't take all the minerals out, so it's got the potassium and all the other stuff in it. It's not like the iodized salt that you buy at the store. So and the type of salt you use whenever you're curing your meat's important too, because you do not want to use iodized salt when you're curing your meat because it won't turn out right.
Right.
That's
And a lot of that salt's got aluminum in it too.
yeah, yeah.
And that's no good. That's no good for you. I just use sea salt.
Sea salt, yeah.
I try not to buy it, but sometimes I do have to buy it. I'll be honest about that. I mean, I can go and I know how to make it, but it's a lot of work to make salt from salt water.
Oh,
Not really
bet.
work, just time consuming. It just consumes a lot of time doing it. It's not
And you got
hard.
a lot of it too, don't you? You got to do a lot of salt water to get
Oh
it.
yeah, it takes a lot of water to make a chunk of salt. But
Yeah.
it's really easy to make. I mean, if I lived near the beach, I would make all my own salt. But I live more central Florida.
Mhm. Okay, so
And I
the
go to
next
the beach a lot.
do you? Yeah, I know. We were talking about it the other day. You're gonna go to the beach in the wintertime. It's gonna that just bothers
Yeah.
me. Okay. Uh, the next one that DHS talked about was cyber threats. Shut down. Oh, he's got his knife. Show everybody that one. That's a nice one too. Cyber threats in the forms of shutdowns and ransomware attacks. So did you know that just last week, 50% of the international trade coming in through ports in Australia was shut down because of a cyber attack? Now
We're
imagine in Australia, the four
yeah,
largest.
we're doomed, man. We're doomed because of this technology. This very technology that is allowing us to do what we're doing right now is gonna screw us, man. When they go to this money that's in a computer,
Mhm.
when the grid goes down, how you gonna get your money? And and with this cryptocurrency, where the hell that shit even come from anyhow? I mean, what? I don't trust none of that stuff, man. If I can't hold it, if I don't have it, it ain't worth nothing to me.
Right. Well, I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna disagree with you on the whole doom thing. We're only doomed if we allow ourselves to be doomed. And by the mere fact that people are in here watching us have this conversation tells me that at least the people in this chat and the people that will watch this video understand what you're talking about, and they're taking steps to make sure that if it does go away, that we're not doomed. And
Yeah.
so, you know,
I mean, as a country,
mhm.
most people
Yeah,
are not going to make it. There's going to be a big die off. When something bad happens, and it's because of the people. They won't wake up. Like most people only got 3 days worth of food. And you see all this crap that's going on in the world. How in the hell can people see what all's going on and well, man, maybe I ought to have at least a couple of months of food put back in case I can't get none. Or, if I can't get out there and hunt or forage and fish, if I get injured or I get sick, I still have food put back.
right. So we got two comments I'm gonna look at. So Kelly says, invest in gold and silver, because if you invest in bullion and the grid goes down, you won't have access to your money. And that speaks directly to what you're talking about. If you don't have it in your hands, it doesn't exist. And then Ghetto, that's the communications network that did all the ports is what was hacked. And so they lost 50% of their ability. They had ships that were stuck in port for a week. Now imagine that. Imagine that, all American. Imagine South Florida not being able to get its food for a week or two. How quickly do you think things would fall apart down there?
It would fall apart very quickly. I say 5 days, at 7 days at the most. People are going to, and it's just so much. No food, no psych medicine. We are the most tranquilized society in the world. America's on more psychological drugs than any other country in the world. When these people are detoxing off these psych meds, man, because I have PTSD and I was on the meds. I quit taking them and I thought I was going to die. I didn't know I was got addicted to the damn things. That's why
Right.
I won't take that shit. I will not take it anymore because of that very reason. I mean, it was rough. So people are going to be running around crazy. Their kids are going to be hungry. People are going to be dying. Everybody's going to be drinking bad water. Nobody's going to know what the hell to do. And then everybody's going to be coming to me going, what do I do? And
Right.
I'm like, if you ain't already in with my group, I'm sorry for your luck.
Yeah. So Joseph G says, if it's not tangible or it's only symbolic paper, it's not real. It's absolutely correct, and it's what Kayla said. It was you saying. So Spags Unfiltered has this thing, and he says that every decision we make is an economic decision. And if you think about it, it's true.
Yeah.
The reason people can't wrap their head around that is because they tie economics to money, and I think that's as far as getting independence of any kind, food independence, any kind of independence. You have to unchain your brain from the idea that money is the measure of what is valuable, right? Because you said that you grow your own food. That's valuable, right? That's more valuable than a $20 bill sometimes, isn't it?
It saves me a lot of money. I don't spend money on groceries. And I see people, it's like, man, I spent $400 on groceries this week. I'm like, how, what the hell are you eating? And they're like, just regular food. I don't even know how people can afford it. I don't trust it. And why buy it when I can just get it for free? It
Right.
just makes no sense to me. I've always been that way. I'm like, why in the hell am I going to spend my money when I could just go out there and pick it? I mean, there's wild edibles right where I'm at right now. I'm looking around there. It's everywhere. And, like this knife, everybody, unarmed and helpless is unarmed and helpless. Security, it don't matter how much food you got put back. If you ain't got a way to defend it, they're going to take it. And it's going to be numbers. You're going to have a lot of people rolling in up on you because the gangs, they're organized criminals. They're already organized. The gangs, even law enforcement, they're a big gang. And if those guys, they're like, hey, we're going to make it regardless of these damn people, they could be a
Right.
problem too.
So
Luckily, I got a lot of law enforcement in my mag team, so we're good.
you made a good point. You made a good point that I want to reiterate, man. So you said that the money you don't spend on food goes someplace else, and that's a lot of people forget. Money is fungible. You're not spending money on food, so you're able to take that fiat currency that you've got and use it for other things that are important to you as well. And in the Yoda, we were just talking about this the other day. People upset because their grocery bills have gone from $150 to $450 a week, and they're not getting any more stuff. So it's trending that direction, and it's going to get worse before it gets better, guys. Seriously, I wish that was not the case, but it is. You know,
I wish we could sit here and tell everybody that everything's going to be great, but it's not. And we're grown men here. We just know it. I can feel it. I don't know if you can feel it, Grumpy, but I can feel it. This thing's really getting out of hand real quick, and
there
it's just
there has been there has been a change, and it started about a year ago that I've noticed. And there's the change on one side was, we go to the festivals and everything. Um, we talk to a lot of people, and more people are coming to the realization that they need to do these things, that they need to get food independent, they need energy independence, they need to build community, right? And I've told people this before. I'd oh, that was weird. I didn't click anything. Anyway, I'd really like to think that our group here in Kansas had something to do with that. But the truth is, everybody's seeing what's going on, and they're all coming to the same conclusion at the same time. And then the other side of that is, I agree with you 100%. The last 5 6 months, it's like the strings are starting to unravel. It's that sweater, that old sweater that you got, that once you start pulling the string on it, it just starts coming apart faster and faster, and soon you're left with nothing but a thing around your neck and a bunch of yarn, right? So, okay, what do we got here? Uh, Starla. Swimming pools at Dollar General are really cheap right now. 90% off, about $1.20, and they can be put on 1 cent blocks to make a raised bed. Just put a drain off to one side. See, thinking outside the box, right? That's what it's all about. Uh,
Grow your own food. I mean, like I said, I'm a big advocate of foraging, but I do grow I grow food also. I'm growing a lot of sugar cane. I'm growing a lot of stuff, but most of that stuff, that I grow in the garden, I give it away. And I just prefer the foraged food, man. I don't know why. It just seems to taste better. I just prefer it. And it's free. And while people are going down and spending $400 on groceries, they could go out and forage and hunt, and that same $400 go down and buy them some gold or silver
mm-hmm.
or freedom seeds.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
my coin dealer, which I can't stack a lot, but he was looking at me. He's like, "Are you stacking the other precious metal?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Freedom seeds." He's
That's
like, "That's going to be just as important as this here silver." And he isn't even selling freedom seeds. He's selling silver. He's like, "You
when
need to get freedom seeds, bud."
when we had stuff in the stock market, we got a financial guy, a super guy too. He's a great guy. He's a pretty good friend. But we were doing the first discussion with him about our stock portfolio, and he's like, "Well, are you into precious metals?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'm into brass and lead." And he looks at me and he goes, "Brass and lead isn't precious metal." I goes, "I like if you put them together, they are." And it took him a second. He said, "Oh, I get it." And we had him within 6 months. We had him on our bulk ammo purchases. So it's right. Brass and lead are just as important as gold and silver, right?
Or
Okay, so
more.
yeah, it could be, So the next one that DHS was talking about, and I want to hear your thoughts on this one. This one, economic coercion, the U.S. government, uh, trade dependencies, supply chain infrastructure problems, currency manipulation, investment restrictions, intellectual property issues like the GMO seeds that go over into your field and pollinate your stuff, and then the big ag people are suing you because you quote unquote stolen their intellectual property, and the price of energy. So and all those things are tied to the government. I don't. How do you feel about this trend of the government making it harder for people to do what you are advocating doing?
Right now, Uncle Sam is not my friend. You know, oh, Sleepy, Mr. Sleepy, I want to be careful so your wife don't get mad at me, but
Don't worry, man. She scares me too.
yeah, so I'm trying to choose my words carefully. But everybody knows the whole system's rigged, man. I mean, it's rigged against us. Look at all these millions of people they let come in across our border. This is all a plan. They're not, maybe these talking puppets are really that stupid, but they're being told what to do. I mean, this is not by accident. Every bit of this is a plan that they have put together. Open the border. That was a part of their plan. And, I believe I was one of the first channels to talk about sleeper cells a long time ago. And they're here. There's millions of them here. And like I said, we cannot depend on Uncle Sam to protect us. Americans, it's up to you. It is up
Right.
to us to protect yourself and look out for yourself. I ain't never counted on this government to feed me or anything, because that's what happens. I don't down people to get food stamps. I'm not downing them. But what happens is when you get food stamps, you kind of get used to it. You kind of get in like a trap to where you rely on it, depend on it. And if you make too much of a wage, they'll take them away from you. So it's like I've had people say, "No, man, I can't make an extra $2 an hour because then I would lose my $1,000 or whatever in food stamps they get a month." And I'm like, so really they're punishing, like you've probably heard that people with bad credit are getting better interest rates on loans for houses than people with good credit right now.
Right.
That's insane.
I've worked for several different government agencies, and I can tell you this as a fact. All right. As a fact, the government's number one concern in the event of emergency is not the people. Its number one concern is what they call continuity of government, being able to continue to govern and keep power. And the only reason that people come into that equation is because it's important to keep people semi-happy, so they're not attacking the government and they're not going against the government's ability to govern. And you can look at Katrina and look at some of the reports about the run-ins that people had with the contractors that were down there providing security for the FEMA people. Go, and it's not talked about, but just you can go read yourself. So Can Squatch asked if these things I'm getting about the threats came from a DHS bulletin. No, if you go online and you do a Google search for what I use, I think I use the search term. What are some threats against the U.S. food system? I think that's what I used, and it came up. And this is actually a static page on the DHS home site or their website. So this is actually a static page. It's not anything dynamic that just came out. So you go find it yourself. It was like, I think it was like the first link after all the sponsored links popped up in the search results. So yeah, this is something, like I said, the government sees these as threats, and we need to look at them the same way as far as I'm concerned, because they are. I mean, if you think about it, it's true. That's these are all these things are threats you face. In fact, going back, I missed one. Agro or bioterrorism. Somebody bringing in something that is harmful to the crop. If somebody released a fungus that attacked the wheat crop and was very virulent, it would destroy our food system in a matter of weeks. Seriously, it could very easily be done. In fact, we live no more than 45 minutes away from a brand new agro-bioterrorism facility that the U.S. Army built out by Fort Riley, which I'm not too happy about living near it, but you got to take the good with the bad, don't you?
Yeah, I hope nothing escapes from there.
Well, you know what? If it does, and we stop posting videos on a regular basis, you'll know something's going on.
Yeah, same here. A lot of times, I'll post videos for a while, then I'll have to take a break because I'm working so hard to be independent that, it's hard for me to squeeze in YouTube all the time,
Right.
But I do my best because I want other people to make it through the other side. I want other Americans to make it through the other side, or what's the point? If there isn't light at the end of the tunnel, why even go down the tunnel?
Right. Well, and that's, what, we've got kind of the same attitude, because for every single person that we inspire or give encouragement to that starts to become food independent or starts stacking food or starts homesteading, that's one less person in the event of a disaster that we have to worry about coming and standing at our gate, and B, that the government, they don't have to deal with the government. They're not going to fall into the trap of relying on the government to take care of them. So it's going to take a burden off the community and off the people that do actually need assistance.
Well,
and
that's why I say every tomato you grow, is one tomato left on the shelf for somebody else to get.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
See, Homestead, they're rubbing it in right now, man. Uh, we also did 5 gallon buckets for cold stratifying black walnuts. We did about 1,000 nuts, hoping to get a few hundred to sprout by spring. Now they're just rubbing it in because, man, we went out last weekend. Wes and I went out last weekend. We've got 8 big walnut trees out along the tree line. We got 2 out front, and there's about 5 or 6 more back in the woods. The critters got to every single one of them before we were able to get to them. The only walnuts we found were like little tiny ones that had fallen off early in the season. So they something in the last 2 weeks came through and just completely ate all the walnuts. I was like, last time I walked out there, I was like, man, I could fill up the skid loader bucket with all these walnuts and go out there and got nothing.
Well, something is running around fat and sassy, and it's probably good eating with all that fed walnut.
I certainly hope so, because our deer season doesn't start until November 1st.
Well, it's already started down here.
Yeah, well, Missouri started on the last weekend, as a matter of fact. Last weekend, if I'm correct. If not last weekend, this weekend. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. I haven't shot a deer in a couple of years because I've been busy working around here and just didn't spend a lot of time hunting. Used to take
wife, if I don't got no deer meat, she'll just drive the truck and hit a damn deer. And then I got to.
Oh, and we're going to talk about that. That's something I want to talk about here in a little bit. That's a good topic right there. So there's all the threats we face, folks. And like I said, go out online. You can look this up yourself and do a little bit more reading. The infrastructure is old and failing. There are control points in the food system that could very easily be disrupted and make it so food does not get to the grocery store. Cyber attacks can shut down. They're going to get more and more common just because of the geopolitical state of the world. The social and cultural changes. They are forcing these changes on us, and whether we like it or not, they're going to happen. So we need to be able to realize A, that it's happening, and B, address it in some form. The GMO foods and the lab grown meats. That right there, the lab grown meat stuff just disgusts me. I can't even tell you how badly that disgusts me.
And I'll eat anything, man. Down here we call squirrels limb rats. Okay, I'll eat them, but I'm not eating no damn lab grown meat. I've got to draw a line somewhere, and I draw a line with that. What the hell is it? Is it human meat? God only knows even what kind. And back to full circle, because that's how my mind works. All the pork, the large pork, Smithfield, all of those, they're owned by the Chinese now. They own the pork industry in America 100%. Now, I'm not talking about people just, raising hogs ourselves and stuff, but I'm talking about the big pork. And all that pork is getting bad in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are eating it. They're going to make damn sure one way or another, everybody gets exposed to whatever the hell's in that.
Yep. That's exactly right. And that's why we're having this conversation. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. I think we've covered, if anybody's got any questions about any of these threats, go ahead and post a question in the comments and we'll answer it the best we can. I'm sure if I miss anything, I'm sure Yoda will yell at me from the living room that I'm missing something. Okay, All-American list. So we black pilled people. We've taken a great big black pill and we've shoved it right down everybody's throat. By this time, if you did not already think that you have a problem, if you're not food independent, if you don't think it by now, then you are probably a lost cause. I'm not going to lie. You need to go back and really reevaluate because, man, the threats are out there. Okay. So Now we're going to start giving them the white pill. It's time for solutions. And I know you like talking about the solutions, man. So here's the question. Here's the question. Okay, what can the average person do to start to find some food independence and some of the basic things? That's my Starlight. That's my Starlink flipping in and out right there. So are we back? Everybody, give
Yeah,
me
yeah. Now you're back. I heard part of it, but I missed most of the question.
okay. I apologize. I don't know. I think we've got some rain rolling in. All right. So the question is, what can the average person do to start to find some food independence? And what are some of the basic things we personally do in search of that food independence?
My
So
number
the
one,
basic.
my number one thing would say, learn what to forage in your area. Number two, learn what plants grow good in your area for growing a garden. You know, I can't sit down here in Florida and tell people in New York what to grow because I don't know what the hell grows up there, but I know what grows down here. So you
Right.
gotta, it comes down to controlling your environment. I work as a bouncer at a strip club. It's no big secret. And, well, maybe it was, but now they know. And, I'm just a glorified babysitter, okay? That's how I got my teeth broken, because I fight every night. Ever since the came out, people has lost their damn minds. I think it's got some kind of mental infection in with that. I do not know what the hell's going on. But anyway, wild edibles, just start out with small stuff. Grow you a couple tomato plants. And then every time just add more and more and more and more. Next thing you know, you're growing so many, you're giving them away to your friends and
Mhm.
your family. And there is nothing like a fresh tomato off a plant.
You mean
Buying them
snack
in the store,
farm?
yeah,
Oh man.
there's nothing like a vine ripe tomato, man.
Yep.
There's nothing like it.
Well,
And
and I'm gonna add on. I'm gonna add on to what you said, okay? Because I agree with you 100%. Grow a garden. Learn what to grow and how to grow in your area. Something to remember, guys. Seriously. So do the math on this. Do the math on this. So a master gardener, somebody who's in their 70s, they've been gardening. Say they started at 10 with their grandpa, so they've got 60 years, right? And they've got 4 seasons to grow every single year. So 4 times 60 is 240. So they've had 240 growing seasons. They still have failures. These guys have been at it their entire lives and they still have failures. And I know a lot of people they get frustrated when they're learning how to garden because it doesn't work like it does on the PBS shows, the Victory Garden and all these other shows. It doesn't work like they show it on TV, and it's not pretty like it is on TV. I mean, I don't know about your garden, man. Our garden is ugly as hell. Seriously, I wish it was pretty, but it's not.
mine's not pretty. I don't grow it to be pretty. Mine's just wild, like I let a lot of weeds grow in mine because the weeds grow faster and produce more than the damn crops I'm growing. It's like a
Well,
luxury for me.
and we talk about it. We talk about it all the time. Number one, whenever we do have a crop that fails, we always look at each other and go, "Well, thank God we're not starving," because we're able to learn and there's less chance of it happening again. And then the other thing is we eat ugly. We eat ugly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it looks like. If it's edible, it gets it gets eaten or preserved. And Yoda made a good point about one of the basics that somebody can do. Learn to preserve. Learn to
Mm-hmm.
preserve the food you've got. You were talking about the salt earlier. She was on that canning strain. I made the yogurt. I put the yogurt video up yesterday. That's preserving milk product. Learn how to preserve all these different things. Just off the top of the head, just off the top of your head, how many different types of food preservation skills do you have, or do you use on a regular basis? I should say.
Well, I use salt and smoke I use man, I found a score. Somebody was throwing out a whole garbage can full of mason jars. Nothing wrong with them.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, they just throw them away down here. People are so stupid. I find more stuff getting thrown away that's good. People are going to be killing people for what people are throwing away nowadays. Here, real
Hmm.
soon, I think. But so I use mason jars too, and the only things I have to buy is the lids.
Right.
And I can put meat, I can can anything in those things. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. And you reuse them over and over again. And it's already cooked. You can just open a jar and eat it. So,
Yep.
it has this gives. That's one thing I like canning in jars, because I can just open it and eat it right there. It's already been cooked in the canning process. And, a lot of people's doing tomatoes and this and that. And I'm a big time meat guy. I just eat a lot of meat.
Right.
I'm a meat eater. And so my main diet is meat.
So you,
And
you talked about salting, curing. You talked about smoking. Um, if you really get in and learn how to smoke really well, I I I've done it before, but I'm not very good at it because I haven't done it a lot. But I started reading about it and learning how it all worked. Dude, if you get good at that, you can get meat that will last for over a year if you smoke it and store it correctly. And that's just something you can do, and you can do it off grid. Another thing that you can do off grid, you can probably do this really well down where you are, is dehydration. Build a
yes,
dehydrator.
yeah. And I like having food put back. I can go out there and I can hunt and fish and gather. I don't need to put food back. But the
Hmm.
reason why I do put food back, there's many reasons. But one, if I get hurt, or if I get sick, or if we have some sort of chemical contamination on the plants outside, whether it be radiation or whatever, then you go and start eating out of your cans,
Well,
and hope the land will cleanse itself, or you're going to have to move.
right.
A lot of people think they're never bugging out. Well, they might have to. You never know. You don't know what's going to happen. Like those people that had that train derail and all them damn chemicals in the air. And it's
Yep.
funny, we're not hearing much about that anymore, but I guarantee you those people are still getting sick.
Yep.
And
I
there
I
ain't
learned this.
nothing. There's nothing growed around there that's safe to eat now.
Right. Absolutely. So I learned this from Billy Bond. So Billy's from Permapasture Farms, and he's a permaculture consultant. And I was looking at the time to get into doing it. I don't do it, but because I figured out really quickly it wasn't for me. But whenever he goes on a consulting thing, these people are looking at building homesteads and becoming food independent. And the first thing that he tells them to do is to stock up 6 months worth of food. Have 6 months in the pantry, because it's going to take you that long to to get your crops going. And then, like you said, what happens if you have a bad winter and you don't get the crops you need? So yeah, sweetheart, I hate to tell you this, that we did bug out. We bugged out and didn't even know it for a year and a half. All American. We didn't even realize. I was sitting here last summer thinking about it. I was like, oh crap, we bugged out. We didn't just move. We bugged out. So we are at our bug out location. And quite frankly, you know, if something happens naturally that we got to relocate for a while, I'm cool with that. But if it gets to the point where it's people causing me to relocate, man, I'm too old and tired. I am not. I'm planting my spear here, and I'm doing my thing here. They can walk across a pile of spent shells to take all my stuff if it comes to it. You know.
I'm the
So
same way. I hope I get to go out in a good firefight. I don't want to die of old age in no damn hospital bed. I'd rather double tap to the head and be done with it.
man, I wanna grow old and have my grandkids on my lap and die in my sleep in my own bed, man. That's the ultimate goal. I want to be able to tell my kids that I lived a good life, and I provided my grandkids with something that they can have and survive off of. You know.
That's real good. It's just me. My kids are bad, and so I do the best I can for them. But the fruit don't fall far from the tree when it comes to my kids, and they're just bad. Okay, and I got one boy that's really good, but the rest of my kids are bad. And
Okay.
I do my best for them, but as always, they're going to come to me every time my daughter, is dating some guy, and I end up having to, Dad, you got to come over here and beat this guy up, or anytime, something needs to be dealt with. That's the only time they talk to me. That's the only time
Well,
they let me see my grandkids is when they need me to regulate somebody's ass.
you know what? You just got to take the good when you can get it, man. Okay, back on the topic of food. Do you guys do any pickling there? Pickling's
Yeah,
another food method. You know, pickling.
I'm big time into pickling. Piss and vinegar, man. I love vinegar, because I pickle a lot of. That's one thing I didn't bring up, but I pickle a lot of sauerkraut, turmeric, uh, garlic. I got so much shit growing I can't even think of it all. But I pickle just about everything I can, and you'd be surprised. You can pickle just about any kind of vegetable. I mean,
Hmm.
any kind of plant you can pickle it.
Well, you pickle meat too, man. And Yoda. We went on the last festival trip, and she bought these little turkey sausage sticks, and we got back, and I stuck those things in a mason jar with some vinegar and a couple of red hot peppers, and stuck them in there and let them sit in the refrigerator for a couple of weeks. Pulled them. Oh God, they were like little tiny red hots, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, I tried pickling some hog meat and whoo, the vinegar. It was too. I made it too strong. I couldn't hardly eat it, and
Yeah.
I couldn't throw it away because I'll die before I throw away food. So I'm literally sweating because there's so much vinegar in that damn meat, and I'm eating it just because everybody's like, "There's no way in hell you're going to eat that." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, hell I am too."
Watch
Yeah.
me. And so um, you were saying that you don't have cows. So do you do any kind of preservation of milk products when you get them?
No, no, I never do. I never get milk. I mean, I know milk is good for you and all, but I don't have no cows. And shit, what's that? Like $5 a gallon for milk? I'll just drink water, man.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go find somebody that's got cows, that's got dairy cows that are milking their cows, and talk to them about creating a milk cow share thing. And basically, what you're doing is you're buying that cow becomes part of that cow belongs to you, and they're milking it, and then that way you don't have to raise the cow, you don't have to do the milking, but you're able to get part of the milk that comes off that cow. So you've got milk on the homestead with you, and then you can start doing all these other things like we do the yogurt making. We've done cheese making. Have not done hard cheese yet. Just one of the things I have not tried is hard cheese, and it's something I want to do. Aaron T. Scott's got a video about a homemade cheese press that I want to learn how to make and start using it and make some hard cheese. Um, another thing that you talked about was your weeds. Yoda's big on the fact that weeds are medicine. So not only are you becoming food independent, you're becoming uh, medically independent. Because you're not having to rely on the medical system. You
That's
know.
important too. And there's a lot of plants I know, I got to be careful what I say because of YouTube, and I'm not a doctor, but there are certain plants I know that if you got leukemia, you should eat that grows wild down here. I use a lot of my stuff as medicine,
Right.
because I don't. trust anything you buy at the store. I just don't trust it. I don't trust this communist made damn medicine coming from China. I don't trust it.
Yep.
I just got trust issues, man. My ex-wife gave me trust issues, and I just don't trust anymore.
It doesn't trust anybody.
No.
So some of y'all may have heard me tell this story, but it goes directly to what All American's talking about and what Yoda's talking about. So I work for an American Indian tribe, and I was reading an article. They did a study. You know, all the Native American history is oral. They don't have a written history. So they were going through the history, and they were looking at it from a medical standpoint. And did you realize that the Native American tribes, the only medical stuff that they had in their oral history was emergency medicine? You know, like you took an arrow wound or you broke a leg. They didn't have any of this preventative medicine like what we've got, you know, all the cold stuff and all that. And they couldn't figure out why that was missing from the oral history. Well, they dug into it and they looked at it. And the reason why these Native American tribes did not have a history of preventative medicine is because of the foods that they ate. They ate all this natural stuff that was out in nature, and it was preventative in nature to begin with. It kept them from getting the colds. They did not have issues with cancer. They didn't have issues with a lot of infectious diseases until Europeans started showing up and started introducing these diseases that were not natural to the United States at that, or the, you know, North America at the time. So you're absolutely correct, man. We need to look at that stuff and figure out what's good and what's not good, and start putting it in our diet. Start eating it as food. Food is medicine, as Yoda likes to say. You know.
And without your health, you got nothing.
So I got to ask you, with all the natural foraging and all that stuff, do you not get colds very often?
No, I don't get sick all that much. And little Miss Prepper, she never gets sick. Maybe once every 5 years she'll get sick.
Right. You know.
So and the only reason why I do get sick is sometimes I will be working security in a bar or somewhere, and there's so much cigarette smoke that I'm having to breathe all that damn smoke in, and it will make me sick. After a week of that, I get sick. Well, but other than that, I'm good.
I never got sick a lot until I worked at a major hospital in downtown Kansas City. And once I started working there is when I started getting sick. So yeah, you're around a bunch of people every night that are smoking and probably hacking on you and just exposing you to all kinds of stuff that is not natural. Oh, Starla's going tonight. Starla, you have a good night. Get your rest. Talk to Angela about them apricot seeds too.
Yeah, they're always bleeding on me. You know, I mean, it's not the cleanest environment.
Rabbit says the last time he got sick was in 2015 pneumonia. It sucked, but I was out cutting wood because of my heat source was my stove. Yeah, you wear yourself out and then go out. I've done that a couple of times. Now, you know, I had a bad case of coop cough a couple years ago that just would not go away because I was out. It was hot summer. It was dusty in the coop. I wasn't wearing a mask, and I got that bacteria down in my chest, and it just would not go away. You know, do you guys raise any livestock? I know you don't have cows, but you guys, you know,
rabbits.
That's something we can do. Rabbits. No.
Rabbits. So, yeah, mainly eat wild rabbit. Okay, but occasionally we'll breed the rabbits just for the hell of it. I just like that. What people need to understand too is live food doesn't spoil. So if you have a homestead, if your chickens are alive, your rabbits are alive, you don't have to worry about it spoiling. Live food doesn't spoil. So that's another reason to homestead. You know, you got fresh, live animals right there. And
we always say, you know what? We are preppers and homesteaders are they're on the same spectrum. The only difference is our preps have fur and hooves and wings and feathers.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only difference. Yeah, the whole rabbit thing, man. I got to tell you, So I loved wild rabbit. I used to love wild rabbit until we started raising our own rabbits. And I got to tell you, man, domestic rabbit, stuff that's raised in a hutch. I'm sorry, man. It just tastes better than wild rabbit to me.
See,
That's
I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite. I like the wild taste better than I do the domestic taste. It's like
if I
farm
want.
raised gator. I'm not eating that crap. Farm raised gator is horrible, but wild gator is delicious. I will not eat farm raised gator. It's terrible,
See,
but wild gator is good.
if I want gamey, I'll go get a squirrel or I'll eat some deer. Actually, that's not true because Yoda does a really good job of taking the gaminess out of the deer. In fact,
Yeah.
you can't tell her venison if you don't know what venison is like. You cannot tell the difference between venison and steak with her. She does such a good job.
And that's done right. You can't. Same with mine. You can't tell a difference. You
Yep.
people. I'll have people over and they're eating, and they're like, "Man, this is some good steak." I'm like, "Yeah, it is, ain't it?" And then after a while, I was like, that was deer we ate." "No, that wasn't deer. I hate deer." I'm like, "No, that was deer. I'm not going down to the grocery store and buying no damn steaks." And they're like, "Oh shit, that was deer." and and they're like, "You went out and killed somebody's cow." And I'm like, "No, hell, I didn't."
Oh, I'm back.
Yeah, there you are. So,
I tell you what, man. This is one of the things. This is a side topic here. This has nothing to do with food. So we've got Starlink, and this is one of the things that bothers me about what's going on in the world these days. Um, chances are we're going to lose internet because Starlink will be attacked, and we will completely lose internet. Luckily, I work for a Native American tribe, and they've got internet connection. So all I got to do is go up the road to go to work, and I'll at least be able to upload stuff. I don't know about doing lives and all that like this, but I am not looking forward to if things do pop off. Okay, back on the food. So we've covered some of the basics. We've covered food preservation. We've covered growing your own. We've covered foraging. We've covered raising your own own livestock. If you're to complement your gardening. Uh, any off the top of your head, you got any other basics that people could do?
indoor growing is a good way to start out too. Is if you don't want to spend money on electricity, just set you up a little solar system. Go down to Home Depot, get you some shop lights, get cool white fluorescent lights, and you can grow anything under those things, and you can control the environment. And if you're using solar, you're not dishing electricity out of your pocket. And to me, it seems kind of weird to use sun to generate power to turn on a light. But in a controlled environment, you can set your hours, because how you got to
Mm-hmm.
set certain hours with plants for them to bud out, so to speak. For instance, the one plant that everybody seems to like and grows indoors. It's got to have 12 hours of light and 12 hours of dark, or it won't do right.
Right.
And you can control that indoors where you can't control the environment outdoors. That's why I'm a big advocate of also indoor growing. If you have somewhere you can grow in, and it doesn't take much space to grow a lot of food.
Right. So alternative agriculture, because you were talking about hydroponics earlier.
Yeah.
Florida is a great place for aquaponics.
Yes.
The combination of fish and the veggies. You've got the greenhouses. We've got several people in our community that are building walpinis, which are buried greenhouses. So there's all kinds of different when we talk about growing, it's not just a garden or raised beds. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways we can do it. Okay, so we've covered all that. We've covered the basics. We've covered what we can do. Now, let's go a little bit. A little bit tinfoil hat type of thing. So, We're sitting here. We were talking this. We're doing what we're doing. We're getting food independence by growing stuff and livestock and all that. SHTF happens. The wheels come off the bus completely, and the we were still relying a little bit on the system for some of our needs, but now not only is the system not functional, but people are becoming desperate, um, fighting for food resources are becoming really slim, and people are starving. It's like some dystopian apocalypse novel. What are some of the things that we can do? Um, you know, what are some of the things, some of the more extreme things that a person can do where they're going to have to change their mindset? We talked about the mindset at the beginning. Um, what are some of the things that people can look forward to having to make the decision to do? And in your opinion?
They're just going to have to search their soul and decide whether they want to live or not, whether they want their children and their grandchildren to live or not. And
Right.
when I say yes, I want my grandkids to live, there is nothing I wouldn't do to keep them alive. And that is going to be a big problem for a lot of people, because you're going to have these parents out here that has no food for their kids, and there's nothing they won't do to feed their
Right.
kids. And if they're not prepared, well, that's on them. I mean, I've been telling people for years, you need to get ready. This shit is going to get bad. Just forget about Russia and Ukraine and Israel and all. Just the inflation alone, man, that we're having to deal with right now. I mean, a lot of people can't afford to live down here in Florida. I mean, we was renting an apartment, $400 a month. Now that same apartment is $1,800 a month. I mean, the price of everything is just, I don't know how the hell people are getting by, really. And, I've always harvested my own food because I enjoy it. I also enjoy doing that. But now, not only do I enjoy it, but golly, at the money I'm saving. I mean, I see the money that people are spending on groceries, and I'm like, I don't care if I had $1 million, I wouldn't pay that much for that.
Right.
I'm just that way. I've done without times to where it don't matter if I was a billionaire. There's just certain ways I would not spend money.
Right. Well, you know what? I think the number one thing, the number one mindset change that people need to do, and they need to make that change now rather than later. Picky eaters. A picky eater at the end of the world will starve because you have to learn how to get past your phobia of these different things. I love organ meat. In fact, one of the things I'm going to do this winter, whenever we process one of our lands, is I'm going to learn how to make scrapple. I want to know how to make scrapple, and have that on the breakfast plate. But people are going to be eating stuff that they're not used to eating, right? How many people down there won't eat gator because gator, it's nasty. They're lizards. They're swimming in the swamps. But I've had gator steak, man. That is some of the best meat in the world right there. That big old steak off the tail. That's some good eatings right there. And then we were talking, a lot of people, you say that you hunt a lot. There's a lot of people that don't like fresh killed meat, from the woods, or even from the barnyard. And we got people that don't like fresh chickens. They would rather go buy from the store. People are
I
gonna
don't
have to,
understand that. That makes no sense to me at all.
you know. Um, Another thing, another picky, and this is me. I'm guilty of this one, and it's not really picky eater. Bloodshot meat. So if I shoot a deer, that bloodshot meat goes to the dogs because I just don't want to deal with it. Because it doesn't quite taste right to me and all that. Outdoor Solutions just yesterday, and this is the reason why this is on my mind. Just did a video yesterday of how to make bloodshot meat usable for human consumption. And it just never. It's just It never occurred to me to do that. I never just thought about it because it was just, go to that. Raising, you saying you're raising rabbits every now and then. We're going to start raising rabbits this spring again. And I'm going to do it for dog food.
The fertilizer too, the rabbit poo, you can put it right on your garden. It's great fertilizer.
Some of the other extreme things. I don't know. Do they have it down in Florida? So here in Kansas and over in Missouri, they've got they call it the deer strike list. And if a deer gets hit by a vehicle, the sheriff's department or the state patrol will get on the local deer strike list, and they'll call you and say, "Hey, come pick up this deer."
Well, it down here, people don't give a damn. I'm telling you what, there's a lot of people. By the time you call a game warden, that meat's gone. I mean, because down here in Florida, we're multicultural people. And these people work in the fields and all, busting their ass all day long for really not enough money. They see a hit deer on the side of the road and it's fresh, man. They gonna about wreck stopping and getting that thing.
I'm going to say, you know what? I've seen that more and more often. Not necessarily along the highway and the main roads, but the back dirt roads that we live on. A freshly hit deer does not last very long because if you don't get it within the first 12 hours, the animals are going to get it. And I know that they just disappear really quick. So in your mind, what are some of the other extreme things that people are going to have to deal with as far as getting food?
Well, when we were talking earlier, you're just going to have to be able to just bite down and go, better you than me.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to have to be mean dog tough. I mean, it's going to get bad. There's just no way around this, man. The world situation, it's just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And people like us are going to be the only people that make it. And somebody don't get between me and my meat, So I'm hard, if you come down to these clubs, I'm known in this area as, one of the best bouncers around. And that's because sometimes it takes an asshole to get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kayla, she brings up a good one that is something that you can do now to set your mindset is intermittent fasting. I don't know. Have you ever done fasting?
Yes, I have. That's actually good for you. Little Miss Preppers right here. What's the longest you've seen me go without eating?
Was it 2 or 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah,
I can go 3 weeks without eating.
That's not good for you, man. I can tell you that from my survival training. That is not good for your body. Your body starts doing some really weird stuff to itself.
Your body cannibalizes itself is what happens.
But to her point, it trains your mind and so you've done this stuff. So if something happens and SHTF happens and you can't eat, you're more mentally prepared than somebody who's never done fasting at all. So yeah, she's got a great point right there. Okay, Starla's got a question, and I want to hear your answer. Is there anything you can line a hole in the ground with to store water?
Yeah, there's lots of things, really. There's these artificial ponds. There's I don't know if you've seen where they build these reservoirs and they put that lining down before they fill them up with water. But down here in Florida, you don't need to line nothing. You just dig and you're going to hit water.
Well, where Starla is, the water is kind of a premium resource. Starla, my first thought is an old pool liner.
Yeah, an old pool liner. I got an old pool in my yard, and that's just people's like, why don't you tear that old pool down? I'm like, you see all that water in there? I might need that water one day. So I just got an old pool I've turned into a reservoir, If my pump goes down because I use pump water, I'm not using no city water. I don't know what they're putting in that shit. I'm telling
Right.
you, I got trust issues with what's going on in the world, and I bleed her out to get us, and they're going to get us through our food and our water and our medicine.
So Rabbit brings up another good suggestion: pond-based material. It's like a mineral that you put down to create a non-porous bottom of your pond. Clay works great. And then there's the oh gosh, I cannot remember what the commercial stuff that he's talking about is called. But yeah, you know what? Dig a pond. Just dig a pond. You don't have to line it. You just got to make sure that you've got the right material. Because when you build your dam, you have to get down to the key, and the key has to sit on clay. So you're pulling a bunch of clay out. So you line the inside of the pond with that clay, and then you just do that. The downside of that is we're in the middle of a drought, and our pond is normally 5 feet deep by, gosh, it's a good 100 feet across. There's quite a bit of water in there. It's not a big pond, but it's dried up. I think there's only about 2 inches of water on the bottom of it. And ours, bentonite, Tiger said it, bentonite. That's what it's called, bentonite clay. But
Yeah, that'd
and the
break
pond.
my heart. That'd break
Go on.
my heart if I had a pond and it dried up, because I'd stock the hell out of it with fish.
Dude, it's bad around here. All the stock ponds. Only the great big ponds that were put in by the state for they're called catchment ponds, right? And they're big ponds, and they're sponsored by the state. Those are the only ones that are full, and even those, Tag and I were talking the other day. I was over at his house, and he built. I don't know if you've seen any videos of his pond. He's got a beautiful pond. The guy that built that pond is an artist, and it's just a beautiful pond. And even his pond is 4, 5, 6 feet down. So it's bad. We're in the middle of a really bad drought here, and it's. I honestly don't know if it's going to get better or worse. Luckily we've got a well that we're rehabbing. We are on city water, county water, but we're trying to get off of it.
I'm not drinking that county water for 2 reasons. Okay, I had a stepdad. He worked for the city water. One thing he said is, man, it is so easy for somebody to poison the water system because it's left unguarded. And so that's one thing. And 2, I just don't want all that damn chemicals, in the water, the chlorine, the fluoride. I don't want all that stuff. I don't want it in my body. I just drink well water. I'm not hooking up to no county water. I don't know what the hell they're putting in that stuff.
Right. Another thing, and you probably do a lot of this too. Off-grid cooking solutions. That's it's really kind of sad that's what people consider an extreme solution to food independence. Because it's such a great way to do it. We're associated with the solar oven people, and we use that all the time in the summertime. You talked about doing the dehydrating down there. There's just so many good off-grid solutions. Being Tag, she does her wood cooking videos.
I cook outside.
I was gonna say probably really uncomfortable cooking on a wood stove in your house down there.
Yeah, I cook outside over wood. Now I'm going to get me one of them solar cookers. I have one I made. It works, but I'm just going to break down and buy me one day. I like that idea because down here it gets so damn hot in the sun. I mean, you could cook anything, and if that solar oven's built right, there's no smell escaping.
Right.
The smell when people are hungry, that's what's going to get you in bad situations, is the smell of food cooking.
Well, if anybody decides they want a solar oven, contact us, because we are affiliates with them, and we can get you a deal on some special things that go along with the solar cooker.
Well, I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely be getting a hold of you for that.
All right. That's cool. And like I said, we use it all the time. I was telling people at the Kentucky Sustainable festival. You know, we were out here, we were right underneath that heat bubble this summer that was sitting over the middle of the United States. We had a day where the heat index was 130 degrees here. And
Ooh.
I came home, I told Yoda, I said, "You're not cooking in this house. That's dangerous. I mean, it's just dangerous." And so we broke out the solar cooker and well, we cooked 3 or 4 days out there in the yard until the heat bubble went away. You know, so it's just a good thing. And again, you know, a lot of these things that all Americans talk about and what I'm talking about, these are things that we call them extreme right now, but they're not really if you're doing them. If they're doing them, they just become part of your life. You know, solar cooking and cooking, and we cook on the wood stove in the wintertime. When it's fired up, she'll make a big pot of chili and throw it on there, or put soup on there, and we'll just get right off the stove. Being tagged, that's their main cooking supply is a Princess, you know, one of those Princess wood stoves. They've got a really nice one too, and it kicks out some heat.
If you look at my channel, you'll see I just got some blocks set up with a grill top. I just throw wood under it and light it, and that's what I cook on. Because there's a permanent heat bubble over Florida. It ain't never going away.
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point. You make a good point. You know, people, again, and I blame the HGTV and the home and garden, and I blame this for what I'm about to say. People look at all these different solutions and they want it to look pretty. They want the garden that looks pretty. They want the outdoor stove that looks pretty. You don't have to have a beautiful stove. You know, we're making an Adobe stove this summer, and it's going to be cinder blocks and clay. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be an extremely functional outdoor stove. Actually, it's an outdoor oven. You know, so again, these are things that if you're not doing them now, I'm going to scratch my head if you're not doing them now and you think you're going to just be able to start doing them right off the bat. I mean, do you think anybody's going to pick this stuff up quick? I mean, because are you still learning stuff, All American?
Every day. That's another thing. Remain a student. No matter how much you learn, remain a student, because I learn stuff every day. I am teachable. And I'm learning stuff every day, you know, on YouTube, talking to people like you. I learn stuff, you know, like
Right.
down here in Florida, you know, anybody, if they're watching, they're down here in the South at all, they should know by now, if you really know what the hell you're doing, you can go and pick wild edibles and you don't have to go to the grocery store, and use that money on the important things in life, like your rent or your mortgage or freedom seeds or whatever the hell it is you want to do. I mean, I'd rather go spend that money on a bottle of whiskey than spend it on groceries when I can go get my own groceries.
See, and I'd rather spend that money on the makings of 5 bottles of whiskey.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's something I got into. It's actually a food preservation method because you know, learned how to make wine so that we could start making wine out of the fruit that we gather on our property. In fact, I've got 5 gallons of apple wine in there that I need to back sweeten and put into bottles here in the next week or so. Learn to make beer because just I know what's in it. I know the quality of it, and I it's fun making it. And then I learned how to distill because Yoda wanted 100 proof alcohol for medicinal purposes, you know. But naturally, I learned how to make the other. I can make a pretty good approximation of a good bourbon and a good gin. So you know, so these are all food preservation methods. You know, you're using that stuff, and then you know, and let's talk about that, how it stacks, right? So you have apple trees. So we skin them, cut them up, use them to make wine. The apple refuse goes out to the chickens, it becomes eggs. We eat that. she takes the cores after she skins them and cores them, turns it into vinegar. You were talking about how much you love pickling. Right? Do you make your own vinegar?
That I have not done. I know I
Oh,
can. I haven't. I just got me. Oh shit! Hope he comes back. Hey, Grumpy! There you are. Can you hear me?
oh, hang on. Okay, that was weird.
No, there's two of you.
No, that was weird because StreamYard completely kicked me out.
Wow, that is weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with that. Maybe we were talking about something that they don't want us to talk about.
Independence?
Well, and you know what? That's kind of that's another thing about the conversation tonight, man. You know, people looking for independence is going to become a very touchy subject, and the powers that be may not want us talking about it. You know, let alone doing it. You know,
Well,
hey,
they
listen,
come
man,
get me.
we've been at this. We've been at this for over an hour and a half, and and I like keeping it about an hour and a half because I can't do those long marathons like other people do. You
Yeah,
know,
me neither. I can't do it.
I'll do them every now and then. Dude, listen, this has been a great talk, man. I really enjoyed this, and we need to hook up and do some other topics. All right, got some other ones that things I got to do some other lives. You got anything special going on with your channel? Anything you want to tell people about?
Just check out my videos, and people need to understand, because people will ask me a question, and I'm like, I just made a video about that 2 weeks ago. So just because my video is a couple years old doesn't mean it's not still relevant.
Right.
And I'm having to find myself. I hate doing the same videos on the same stuff over and over again.
Right.
So people just need to look up, go to my playlist. You can see what you want, but really, it comes down to attitude. Everybody's just going to have the attitude that I'm going to make it. I'm going to do what I have to do to make it, or just curl up in a ball and die. It's one or the other. You're going to have to make a choice. There's going to be hard choices to make here real soon, and I just know it's going to get bad. I can feel it in my heart. I mean, it's like this terrible dark cloud is over America right now. And it's just, it just keeps getting worse every day. Nobody's doing nothing to de-escalate any of this stuff, man.
Well, and I think to build on what you just said, I think it's our responsibility to be a light and to be a beacon. So if that darkness does fall, if and when that it does fall, that we are a light in that darkness, and we're able to help people. And part of that is sharing our experiences right now with people. I don't know about you, but we're not teaching anybody. We're not teaching anybody anything on our channel. What we're doing is we're sharing our experiences, and we're just allowing people to have the option to learn and like you said, be a student, right? You always want to be a student. If you're too old to learn, then I feel for you. Seriously, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
As far as our channel, dude, we're off the festival season, so we're going to be doing more lives. I'm probably gonna hit you up to do one of these. We've got the without rule of law cards. We're gonna do it. It's replacing the conflicted lives that we used to do.
Awesome! Hell yeah!
We'll get a panel on there, and we'll talk about the end of the world and how we're going to defeat it. Right. If you guys got our website, I just got the new product list finalized. yesterday, and I'm going to get it to the guy to upgrade our website or update our website. So the web store will be open here in the next less than a week, probably. Depends on how much I procrastinate. But so the website will be up. You guys can go there and check it out. Help us. It helps support the page.
Do you
We
have
appreciate
channel
it.
memberships?
No, not yet. We're batting that around, and we're trying to figure out what we want to do for people and what's the best way for us to provide a benefit for somebody supporting our channel like that. And that's another thing I want to say to everybody. If you're a new subscriber or this is the first time you've been here, you're coming over from All Americans channel, we appreciate you guys coming. I mean, I think All American will agree with me. You guys make it all worthwhile. You guys make it fun, especially these chats. The chat, and I apologize again tonight, man. You guys were tearing up the chat, and I missed a lot of really good comments. But you guys make it worthwhile. Go ahead and if you're not a subscriber over on All Americans channel, go ahead and subscribe over there. If you're not a subscriber here, hit that thumbs up anytime you're watching any not just our videos, any video. If you appreciate it, hit that thumbs up and let YouTube know, or if you're on Rumble, let Rumble know that this is the type of stuff you like seeing. Support these everybody.
When you look up my channel, when you look up All American Prepper, that damn Canadian jerk has made so many videos about me that his damn videos come up before my channel comes up.
I shouldn't be laughing, but you gotta admit it is kind of funny.
It's every time he makes a video about me, I get like 400 more subscribers.
Love it. I love it. Oh man. Okay, man. You got any final words?
Just everybody get your attitude, man. It's sink or swim time. I mean, it is sink or swim time, guys and gals. If you want to make it through what's coming, when do you start? You start now.
Absolutely. And you know what? And part of starting now is going out tomorrow and living a life done free. Okay, we got everybody. You guys take care, and we'll see you later. Okay, we are almost out.